doing whatever.
That's okay.
I was wondering why there weren't any comments.
Thanks for letting me know. Go for it. I appreciate you. All right, I'm gonna redo that. Good
Do
morning.
it.
Uh, the top story. We're just gonna roll right into it because I forgot to click live because I'm a silly willy. Trump becomes the first president to sign crypto bill into law, ending anti DeFi IRS regulations. And President Donald Trump signs his first crypto related bill into law Thursday, formally eliminating Biden era IRS rule that would require decentralized finance platforms to collect and report the same taxpayer information as traditional brokers.
Yes. Okay. Unbelievably needed. Oh my goodness. All right. So the libertarian in me is screaming with delight because like the amount of work that this has cut down on both the side of the IRS, meaning they don't need to hire as many people, and on the DeFi platforms, it's like it's music to my ears. This is yeah. I'll just leave it at that.
It's bullish for Solnick too, so it's less work that we got to do as well.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was going to be a nightmare. No, I am absolutely pumped, and I'm right there with you. Libertarian at heart. I don't want Big Brother telling me what I cannot and
Yeah.
can't do. And the power of DeFi, I think, is well, we'll talk about that later.
All right.
All right. China and Russia are using Bitcoin to settle energy trades. Last month, returners reported that Russia is using crypto, including Bitcoin, Ether, and Tether, to handle all trades with China and India, while Russia passed a law last summer allowing crypto for international trade. The fact that oil companies are now using it is for actual sales is new.
Yes. Okay. So mixed feelings on this one, right? I mean, it's like, all right, I hear China and Russia as an American, and I'm like, oh, that's not too exciting that they're doing something that I think is really it's good, it's smart, but so what do we do with that? I don't know. What do you think?
Um, it's something. It's definitely a something. I think it potentially a secondary, tertiary thing that could come from this, and perhaps we're already seeing it a little bit, is the DXY. Uh,
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? And that is definitely something we need for recovery on stocks, recovery on crypto. The DXY, I don't know last you looked at it, but I mean
for 100.
it's free falling.
Yeah,
So one of those are lying, either equities or crypto or the DXY. One of them are lying. You know what I mean? And I don't know. This could be real ammunition to really sort of chip away at the strength of the dollar, so to speak. Going around, I think it's cool for crypto, but uh, potentially a bad thing for the U.S. dollar. We'll see.
yeah.
We shall see. Okay, so
What's next? I'm dying with anticipation.
I know, right? Me too. Trump puts new tariffs on China,
Oh my goodness.
125%.
Everyone's I scroll around on X and everyone's a tariff expert. I'm going to be the first to declare that I'm not a tariffs expert. Um it's really fascinating to see how this whole thing has played itself out. On one hand, you could be like, "Oh, Trump, he's playing 3D chess and everyone else is or the art of the deal." And I'm looking at some other things and I'm like, Japan sold a lot of treasury. They dumped a lot of treasuries and the 10-year yield shot off like crazy. And I'm wondering if Trump maybe panicked a little bit, but made it look like oh, this is what I was doing the whole time. And so, but there is a case to be made that this was the play all along. And I am all for trying to settle imbalances with China because it's absolutely insane. So cool, man. We'll see how
Yeah.
this goes.
We talked about this a little bit off stream. I think that China is going to be the last. I'm
Yeah.
not a tariff expert either, but I do think that China, just knowing how they are with business, I think they're going to be the last to the table as far as
Yeah.
negotiations, and I think they're going to play hardball absolutely the longest. But we're already seeing it a little bit that all of the other countries, not named China, are coming to the table and renegotiating. And I don't know that happened. So there is a lot of imports and exports from China. My God, somebody called me. Sorry. Um, there's a lot of imports and exports from China. So I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a great thing short term. It could have some secondary effects with inflation for sure. But it could long term be good. It could come to an agreement. We'll see if I'm being optimistic. But what I do think would happen is it's going to potentially create more jobs in America, which I think probably is the entire point.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
we'll see.
It's definitely a big deal, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on this and predict what's going to happen.
Okay,
So there you go. Bull or bear?
here we go.
All right, the Dow Jones will make a new low in 2025.
Yeah, I'm a mega bull on that statement. I've made content which has been reported to you, Ski, from certain people. I'm going to guess Redemption here on YouTube has been going to Ski and saying that Alex is such a mega bear for 2025. Redemption, aka Ponky, on TikTok. I see you. Shout out to Redemption there. I think that we have started a downtrend. The DOJ, not the DO. Yeah, the DOJ will definitely make a new low. That's what it says on the screen. But the DJIA, I think is in a downtrend, and it's going to take the rest of the year to play out. So I am a mega bull on the statement.
We'll talk about this a little bit later when we get into the
Yeah.
charts, but I think that the Dow Jones makes it. I think that it has at least one more push. Perhaps like best case scenario, it's doing the C19 crash. That's best case scenario.
Yeah.
But there's a high probability that it still has. If it's done the selling climax, then a secondary test would technically take you lower, and I think that that's a higher probability. So I'm going to say I'm a bull on this as well, and I've been less bullish on the stock market pretty consistently the entire time. Like I've said that I think that it's working on macro distribution, and I think it's going to take 2029 to actually play itself out. But I have not been bullish on the stock market since I've known you, Alex.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, am I lying about that or?
No, I mean, I've shown charts that priced in gold, everything peaked in 2018 and in 2021. So,
Yeah. So I have an interesting theory. I already made a video about it. But we'll talk about that after when we get into the charts. Bitcoin will make a new all-time high in 2025. Bull or bear?
All right, here we go. So I've always been open. I've consistently been open to that possibility. I am still open to that possibility. I think most people watching this are just of the assumption that absolutely it's going to happen. I have started over the last month or so leaning in the direction that would not happen, but that we would have a relief bounce. And now I am a believer that we will not see a new all-time high for Bitcoin in 2025. So, yay!
Bear. He's a bear on the statement. Okay, I'm a bull on the statement. I do think that Bitcoin at least gets to 118,000 bare minimum by November. That is my prediction, but I'm open-minded. But
I'm also open-minded.
That is where I'm at with it. I think that and I keep saying we'll talk about it in a minute, but basically I think that Bitcoin is way ahead of the stock market as far as its correction because it's gotten just crushed since November, where the stock market is only really just now starting to feel it. And I think that we'll talk about it. Overrated, underrated, fear and greed.
Yeah, fear and greed by and large is it's helpful, but it's overrated. I would prefer to. I don't really pay much attention to fear and greed unless it got down to 4 or something. I saw somebody like at least in the stock market it got down to 4. That's something
insane.
worth paying attention to. Okay, but for the most part, fear and greed is super overrated. Let me again just share some numbers. In November of 2020, fear and greed got to 90 and Bitcoin was at $15,000. So if you sold at a fear and greed of 90 with Bitcoin at $15,000, you missed out on almost the entire run. And then in January of 2022, Bitcoin was at $45,000 and fear and greed got to 12. So, okay, you sold at $15,000 and you bought at $44,000 because that's what fear and greed tells you to do. All right. So I very much prefer to look at the VIX instead. I think that's a much more in real time measure of actual fear and greed.
I prefer to look at the comments.
The comments, yeah. The text messages and the phone calls.
Yeah. My friends calling me. Yeah. I think it's something. I'm not gonna say it's overrated. I think it's overrated between the 20s. So between 20 and 80, I think it's almost no data at all. But once you start getting in the teens or the 90s, I think there's outliers, of course. Everything there's outliers, but I think more often than not, it'll put you in the right flavor.
Sure.
If you're in the 85s, 90s, or in the teens or less, I think that gives you a strong indication as to where something's at. But anywhere in between there, 30 to 70, 20 to 80,
Yeah.
it means almost nothing.
Yeah.
All right, DeFi, overrated, underrated.
Underrated. There's so much potential with DeFi, and we're in the early days. And I'm very excited to see more things grow. As we've one thing that I'm not super positive about the ways that people have taken advantage of blockchain technology. I think there's a lot of froth in the system, but one thing that I am excited about is seeing the advancements in DeFi between 2021 and 2025. And so we're just in the beginning, and the possibilities are, there's so much more growth in this. It's just an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I think it's the most underrated part of crypto,
Yeah.
period.
Yep.
And I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. And you wouldn't even count Coinbase as DeFi, but it's definitely CeFi, I guess. But they're already implementing some just scratching the surface tools of like getting loans off your Bitcoin and stuff like that. All that stuff is possible without KYC. All that stuff
Yeah.
is possible without a centralized exchange. But even that to me is a big deal. Getting a loan off of your Bitcoin, and that's I think it's the most underrated part of crypto. Period. Not just like price goes up, it means good. Price goes down, it means bad. But literally putting your money to work and having the same tools that PayPal, that Venmo, that Fidelity, Vanguard, Robinhood has, but instead of needing tens of millions of dollars, needing $10 to access these tools, I think is the biggest deal in crypto.
Yeah.
All right, charts and coffee, my friend.
Okay. As always, I'll go first.
Someone said they'll buy when Ski shaves his head. Listen, I bet that many, many times, and eventually I'm going to put the chips out there, and it's going to come. It's going to happen. But
Do you
I
have a
don't know.
shave your head bet?
I have a shave my beard bet.
Yeah. Okay. But all right. All right. Never mind. Um, okay. So you know what? Hey, how about I'll start out with some hopium for the bulls, and so, but then I'm going to share just my perspective as to why I don't think we are going to hit a new all-time high for Bitcoin in 2025, but I'm a delayed bull. I'm super bullish. I'm between 8 months left or 9 months left in 2025, and then I'm quite convinced that 2026 and 2027 are going to be phenomenal years. And that Bitcoin, whatever price target you have, I wouldn't be surprised if my price target for Bitcoin in those years was much higher than your price target. And I'm not talking about you, Devin. I'm just whoever's listening. So, okay, first chart that I'm showing here, the bullish chart, is Bitcoin priced in the VIX. And every spike on this trend line is a significant event. I'll be honest, I don't remember. There was a deflationary scare. I wasn't really paying attention to charts all that much in 2015. But that first bounce off the trend line is a major deflationary scare. Second bounce, I'm sure everyone can guess, is COVID. Third bounce is August 5th, the Japan carry trade fiasco. And then the fourth bounce off of this trend line is today, just recently with the tariff scare. And so, what's my takeaway from this? My takeaway is next week should be good. I'm going to give you guys next week. I'm bullish for next week. We'll see what happens after that.
So are you specifically talking about the Dow Jones bullish, or are you talking about Bitcoin?
Everything.
Okay.
For next week. How about we'll have a good week next week?
Okay.
I mean, Dow Jones, S&P, NASDAQ, we oversold is an overrated term, but like the amount that they have been oversold, it seems like it would make sense for at least a relief rally. Now, speaking of the Dow Jones, I mean, Dow Jones, I've been mostly doing my analysis on the S&P. So let me pull up the S&P. I'm convinced that we are in the early stages of a downtrend. Now, I've given a couple scenarios here. Let me pull up the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is everything. It's everything. I mean, watch the video that I just made on my YouTube channel, my most recent video on TikTok. What would get me to change my bias is a break through the 200-day moving average. We do have historically examples of that. The most recent one being the COVID crash. We had a V-shaped recovery. We have a V-shaped recovery. Then I'm going to be of a mindset like, okay, and what we need some kind of cause for that V-shaped recovery, which there's a plausible cause in the fact that maybe some nation states around the world are going to panic and they're going to print a lot of money. Maybe China's going to panic. I wouldn't be surprised if China panicked. Okay, so I see some potential for that, but my mindset right now is we broke through the 200-day moving average to the downside with the S&P. We already did the back test. We did one back test. Usually there's more than one, but I'm looking at this trend line here that puts the S&P around 5,500 or so, and I'm expecting for the remainder of the year just a series of lower highs and lower lows. I always want to have invalidations. Okay, so what's my invalidation? Let's break through the 200-day. Looking at Bitcoin dominance, it's something similar. I posted this on my X account where I really want to see Bitcoin's dominance come down. And we talked about this, Devin, before the live stream. I want to see this. Okay, I do not want to think that things are going down. I want to see Bitcoin's dominance come down. That has to happen. If Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to climb, even, especially if next week is bullish and we see Bitcoin into the mid or upper 80s or something like that, and Bitcoin's dominance is climbing, I'm going to exit. I'm going to exit a lot of the crypto that I bought over the last month. Okay. That's going to be my sign to exit, a sign to exit. And then, but we see Bitcoin's dominance come down, then it's game on for me. And I'll always be in crypto. I'm just going to focus on trading. So when I'm bullish, I'll be bullish. When I'm bearish, when I'm bullish, I'll long. When I'm bearish, I'll short. Something really interesting. I mean, this candle, I'm not too concerned about today's daily candle. Yesterday's daily candle for Bitcoin's dominance is very intriguing to me. I mean, look at where it closed. That's really fascinating. Right below the 702 retrace. And so maybe that's a sign of things to come. Maybe there is some hope, but
I think it's the UTAD.
Yeah. So UTAD, we did talk about that before the live stream, that there's potential for that. This is the key to me as far as what I'm doing with my bags right now is where are we going with Bitcoin dominance? If it is UTAD and then we see a dump below, then okay, I'm holding. I'm excited. Let's go. Let's have a low volume pump, in my opinion, to new all-time highs. And then I think it's going to be over until 2026, 2027. Otherwise, whatever. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, for those of you who don't know, UTAD is the reverse of a spring. And that would be a spring would be maximum pain and the lowest it goes. So a UTAD would be the opposite of that. And in regards for crypto, UTAD kind of is maximum pain for Bitcoin dominance. That is.
Let me share one more chart.
Go ahead.
All right. You know Wyckoff better than I do. Okay. Here's just a thought that I'm playing around with. that we are in the early stages of accumulation and that this was distribution. So again, you know better. Correct me. Just tell me
That's what I
I'm
think.
dumb.
That's what
This is what you think.
Yes, I think that Bitcoin. Well, I don't know early. I think that we're already in C right now.
In C. All
Yes.
right, you're going to need to explain that.
All right, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. You start talking Wyckoff. It's Brucey's time to shine.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so people I think are talking out of both sides of their mouth, right? And we talked about this a little bit. If you want to tell me that this is distribution, okay, I'll listen. Like hindsight on the 4-hour chart, on the 3-hour chart, this is a micro distribution, certainly. And we've been in a downtrend ever since January. And Bitcoin has been just absolutely getting crushed since January. And part of the reasons that I think that, so here's my thesis right now. Let me just tell you up front so that there's no like, oh my God, people are freaking out. I think that the Dow Jones, best case scenario, is working on the C19 crash. Worst likely scenario, it's already got the selling climax and it's going to get a secondary test and a spring. And worst case scenario, the chart that Alex showed, he had kind of 3 downtrends. That would mean that the PS is in and we still need to get the selling climax, the secondary test, and then the spring. So that's where I think that the Dow Jones is. But I think that Bitcoin is maybe 30, 45 days ahead because I think that they trade together. I don't think that that's a secret or something crazy to say, but I do think that Bitcoin's ahead of it because it trades 24/7 and because of how oversold and how much of a downtrend, like it's gotten crushed as the Dow Jones has not over the last few months. So if you want to tell me that this is micro distribution, sure. And people I think are talking out of both sides of their mouth when they say worst bull market ever, but then it's 4-year cycle's broken, but then it's see you in 4 years. Okay, it's like which is
Yeah.
it? You know, if it's broken, that means it's broken. If it's not, that means it's not. So if you want to tell me that this is the worst bull market in history, okay. If there's a yin, guess what? There is a yang. And the thing that causes really violent bear markets is really violent bull markets.
Yeah.
So if you're going to tell me that this is the worst bull market in history, like, okay, I'll buy that for $1, but this is exactly where I think that we're at. So phase A, and by the way, I've called the bottom 9 different times. Someone told me that I've called the bottom 3 times. I've called the bottom 9 different times. February was the one time when I said that the bottom was in and I was wrong. And that's because I tried to predict what Trump was going to do. I had the event correct, but I had the time of the event wrong. So February, I was wrong about calling that a bottom. The other 9 times, or the other 8 times when I said the bottom was in, the bottom has been in. And I said, I've been saying for the last couple of weeks that this is the structural bottom. But when we got to 74.4, I said the bottom's in, boys. I made a video, and that's what I think. So this to me, this is your distribution, your markdown, your selling climax, your automatic reaction, that manipulation. You could count it or classify it as an automatic reaction. So markdown, automatic reaction, secondary test is higher than the selling climax. Okay, that's what this was right here. The secondary test. Oops, let me share this. Secondary test. Then you have a secondary test in phase B. Textbook goes lower than the selling climax. That is textbook. Okay. So right here, secondary test in phase B, textbook goes lower than the selling climax. Now, when we started getting this for Bitcoin, I started saying the structural bottom is in. And I did not think that we were going to get a spring, but I kept putting it out there. If we go to 75, that would not be weird and that would not make me bearish. It would just mean a spring. I kept saying that I don't think it's probable, but it's definitely plausible. And then you get a move to the upside, creek down, big spring, and the spring textbook goes lower than the secondary test. So to me, we are already in phase C for Bitcoin specifically. Phase C is the spring, and I think that we are literally like right here. And I have my limit orders in at 78K, 77K because I think that this is going to take us daily bodies to 83K if I'm correct. And then we're going to get a test, which would be the same number as the secondary test, which was 77K. So we would get a test, and then we'll just start making, like, it's not like, oh, bottoms in, boys, rainbows, Lamborghinis, all that. I think that this is what we're going to get. We're going to start to get little higher lows until we would get our sign of strength. The sign of strength, in all likelihood, would take us to about 95,000 to 100,000, somewhere in that neck of the woods. And then we would probably chop for a little bit and then perhaps get a Mark E. So I think that the Dow Jones, best case scenario, this is a V bottom. And I think that there's a real argument for that. You talked about China, and I think that their economy is way more cyclical than ours. In that, like, they have like 70-year mortgages or whatever. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
oh
it's
man.
it's insane. Like, the way that they do. So you have to have a 3-to-1 here is basically like, if you make, let's say, $5,000 a month, then you can afford a house that's whatever. I don't know what the math. 1,250. That can be your mortgage. In China, it's like 20-to-1. So I think that there's real, and someone put it in the comments that they've already been on QE for a little while now. So that's a
Yeah.
realistic possibility that this is a V bottom. I think that the probable possibility, though, is this is the selling climax, and then we probably get a secondary test and maybe even a spring. And then worst case is kind of what you outlined based on your chart. You didn't really call it this, but this would be your PS, um,
Mhm.
which would be right here. You get a selling climax, a secondary test that goes lower, and a spring that goes lower before working your way out of here.
So I would say, all right. So we're agreed on the best case that it's a COVID crash. I would say medium case is probably your worst case, and I have a worst case of just like, I mean, I've been saying for quite a while that we're in a recession right now. I mean, we're most likely in a recession, and things are going to go a decent amount lower. My worst case is a repeat of 2008. So I mean, I hope I'm wrong about that, but
I think we're going to chop a little bit for Bitcoin specifically. I talked about this on off air. I have less of a read on the Dow Jones.
sure.
Where Bitcoin, I feel very, very confident. This is the most confident that I've been. Um, I feel locked in on Bitcoin. The altcoins, we need to see, like, is it really the UTAD or is it not? I don't know. Time will tell on that. Are we breaking higher? Are we going parabolic, or is this the UTAD? This to me right now is textbook, and we'll see. What we need to see is like a breakdown and take out this low right here, and
Yeah.
then you could classify this as a UTAD. Realistically, there's going to be a big move in altcoins if that happens. And I don't want to say it's going to be too late, but there's going to be a big move in altcoins if it were to confirm a UTAD, if that makes sense.
Can we address a couple things here? I saw two straight questions about, like, selling May and go away. Is this off the table? But all of this has to be before the end of May. So I'll just say, first of all, like, every year, sell in May and go away. It's not that the market instantly is going to dump on June 1st or something like that. There's been plenty of years where it's just been extreme chop, extreme boredom, just makes you want to tear your hair out, like torturous boredom. There have been years in the past when actually, May was not the peak, or not a time to sell, but it's been very few. Like
Yeah.
2019, for example, I think we peaked at the end of June or early July. I don't remember exactly. So
I think August, I've already put this out here. I do think there's going to be a pretty significant correction in August.
okay.
And people will keep asking me, like, how low are we going to go? Well, this is a cop out answer, but the truth is it depends on how high we go. How oversold do we get? You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, I got to go back into, like, I'm going to let the market lead me. But I do think that there's going to be a significant correction in August. And I do believe, I could be wrong on this, and I'm not a fundamental analyzer, but I think that some sort of tariff news got 90 days or something like that, and it would put us at like right at the end of July.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you definitely don't pay attention to the news.
Yeah. I just look at charts and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't because I just know how I am. I get sucked up into the fiasco that is. Um, whereas like for Bitcoin right now, I have a very, by the way, I put this, so I put this here. I just want to address this. So 9 times I've said that the bottom was in.
Yeah.
One of the times was right here or right here. This is when the tariffs first started happening and then they delayed it. So I put this in white right here. We'll see. I'll put it in red if it's confirmed as a 28-day low. But all these other times I said that the bottom was in. I did say right here that the bottom was in, and that was the one time that I was wrong. So we will see, but I think that this is the spring for Bitcoin, and we need to see if Bitcoin dominates, if this is the UTAD or not. But yeah, I'm with you though. I think generally it's just going to be boring. I do think there's going to be a pretty significant correction in August, but that would imply that we would have a pretty significant move before then, because you're not going to have a huge correction without having space to get, you know what I mean? Without
Yeah.
market makers having liquidity to grab. Um, so there you go. That's my thoughts where we're at. I have a little bit less of a read on the Dow Jones. I feel pretty locked in on Bitcoin that we are deep into accumulation.
All right. I mean, I am I'm more I can be more on board with Bitcoin doing what you're saying it's going to do. I don't see any evidence for that looking at altcoins right now. And I'm sure that it's just, you have more complex ways, I would say, of analyzing any of that. But I mean, I'm looking at total 2, total 3. We're still in a very clear downtrend with no evidence of a reversal.
It's
And so, yeah,
it's because of Ethereum.
yeah. I mean, but I mean, that's why I said total 3 too, though.
Yeah. Ethereum right now, like I did not anticipate, like I crap on Ethereum, and I knew that there's going to be a
Yeah,
time when Ethereum, takes out or is not number 2. I'm not saying it's going to be this cycle, but my God, I think that this is not great news that it took out, it's at the bear market lows now, and it's just on this crazy downtrend. And one thing I
yeah,
want to throw out here before we start getting into, every cycle, there's a major coin that only retraces, and that is it. So right now, I have a best case, worst case for Ethereum, and I'm going to view this based on market cap. So this was a full cycle. This was from 2017. So on the top is Ethereum, excuse me, from 2021 through present day. On
yeah,
the bottom is XRP from 2017 through present day. And what we'll see here is like you have this peak here. What I think we need to analyze XRP first. So this just retraced. So basically, I would classify this as the 702. Obviously, it peaked, it wicked a little bit higher, but you see the base of the move is basically at the 702 for Ethereum. And for XRP market cap specifically, it got to the 618. Crypto was a little bit more volatile back then, but that's where it got to. And all it did from here on out until present day, so from the peak of 2021 in April, all it did was retrace to the 618. And this is a micro fib. It went to the 618 and then rolled over and had a long accumulation
yeah,
before eventually getting to the 1618 parabolic, which is why I had my targets at 333. Because it's kind of hard to estimate exactly what the price should be based off of market cap, because it's always kind of changing a little bit. But that's why I had my 333 target, was because of the 1618 on. That was my guesstimation and my theory of like be a day early rather than a dollar short of this is price discovery for market cap. So
yeah,
anyways, The best case scenario here, in my opinion, is all of this, these three tops, is not best case scenario. All of this right here is this move. We're going to come in, do a retracement to the 618, which would be about 3,300, 3,200. And then maybe this cycle we reaccumulate and go into the 1618, which is about, 5,500 to 7,200 for Ethereum. I think that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario, though, like this was it for Ethereum, this 702. And like it's not going to be until we're going to come back up to 3,300 and roll back over and reaccumulate until like 2026, 2027. But this is not good for the total 2, the total 3, because it's number 1 or number 2. So we'll see. It's got some work to do. I thought that Ethereum would lose its number 2, but I didn't think it would be this time around. Someone showed a Nokia chart and compared it to Ethereum, and it's like, my God, you got some. Basically, Nokia after the .com was just dead forever. So,
did it ever come back? I don't pay attention to Nokia.
No, it has not.
Oh man.
It's a little bit different because they can dump supply of stocks, but go ahead.
I saw a meme on X, like celebrating in the future Ethereum new all-time high, and it's like a picture of Vitalik as like an 80-year-old man, and I'm like, oh, I just, it sucks. It sucks that Ethereum is number 2 because I mean we've talked about this. It's like Ethereum is the worst. It's the worst. Like all of its competitors are literally better than Ethereum in everything, and yet Ethereum is number 2. So the rest of the market has to suffer because of Ethereum.
So no, someone said so. No alt season. Then I would say that if I'm going to give you an if then statement, if my theory that Bitcoin is on the spring, and it gets the sign of strength to 95 to 100K, and if my theory that the total 3, or excuse me, Bitcoin dominance is working on the UTAD, and they kind of like do their move at the same time, like this is the reverse spring as the same time that Bitcoin is working on its spring. If that happens, I still believe by the end of May, we're going to have a 50% move in total 3. It has not technically broke the downtrend, but we've had the dreaded death cross, which you guys know. I made a video about this where it marks a bottom more times than it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think a 50% move into May, and I've been saying that, me and Alex have different timelines, but for me, since 2022, it's been November of 2025 is when, but I do think there's going to be money to be made between now and May. So if those things happen, then I don't think alt season, but I think a move on altcoins for money to be made / de-risking opportunities are going to present themselves.
Yeah. I was thinking about this because like, every cycle, Bitcoin has gotten up to a price point where I would say, people like myself who have a mindset of I never want to sell my Bitcoin, the pressure is so heavy that it's like I'm up so much on my Bitcoin that all right, now I'm going to sell it. And I think for a full-blown alt season, a full-blown 2021 or 2018 alt season, something similar would probably happen or probably have to happen where Bitcoin gets up to a point where now it's like, oh man, I'm so in profit, I'm going to sell it. Maybe not to buy altcoins, or maybe to buy altcoins, but whatever the case, I'm going to sell it. I mean, I have a price point. I haven't touched my Bitcoin in a quite a while, but I have a price point in my head where it's like, if it gets up to this point, I'm going to take some off the table for sure. And I mean, that's well over $150,000.
Yeah.
So let's see Bitcoin do that, and then we can talk about alt season.
To me, that number you said 150. To me, the number is 138, which is my medium case scenario for Bitcoin. It could be 207. Those are my like medium
Yeah.
parabolic targets. My low case is 118. But yeah, that 138 to me is that number, that magic number of it. There's too much pressure, especially
Mhm.
considering not a lot of people, but there definitely are people that were accumulating at 16K.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I was.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
I did a lot of accumulating between 16 and 24.
who is Satoshi? Will they rug pull? Nobody knows.
He might be dead. You
I
never
think he's
know.
dead. I think he's dead.
Yeah. That would be that would not be the end. I don't know, man. What would happen? I mean, you might have a feel on this. What would happen if like that wallet, the Genesis wallet, sold like 1 Bitcoin?
It would definitely cause people would definitely freak out. It would definitely cause a
I
bear
would freak
market.
out. I would freak out for sure.
It would definitely be a black swan. It would definitely be
Yeah.
people would definitely freak out, and also it would definitely cause a bear market, but I don't think it would be the end of Bitcoin
Yeah, I
again.
agree with you on that. Yep.
Um, I think it would cause a bear market. Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, oh nope, up only. No, I think that would cause a bear market. That would governments would lose trust. You know.
Yeah. So please, Satoshi, don't rise from the grave and sell your Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think too, and I don't even
Yeah.
think he had access.
Maybe
Um,
not.
yeah, I don't think that that's going to happen. I mean, it could happen. My belief in Bitcoin would not change, but I do
Yeah.
think that that would change the trajectory of price. What does World War Bitcoin think about Caspa?
Let me pull up a chart. Um,
I think Caspa's bottomed. I think it's got work to do. I don't think it's just up
yeah,
only. I think
I
it's
can
going to
see a
be.
case for that. I mean, it's clear double bottom there. Adam and Eve double bottom. Um, what? Something I noticed on a lot of cryptos is 4 hour charts looking really good. It was funny. I was on my live stream yesterday. I was pretty bearish, but then I zoomed in on the 4 hour, and I know you do 5 hour, whatever, but like I zoomed in on the 4 hour, and I was like, huh, some of these cryptos look pretty good.
Yeah,
Um, Caspa looks really good on the 4 hour. So I mean, short term, sure, Caspa looks like a good option. Um, I just I'm not really interested in touching altcoins right now at all, even now, until we see a higher high in total two, which we haven't seen yet, or total three, I guess. So
yeah. If we're just excluding Ethereum from the equation, um,
yeah,
to me, Caspa, I like that this got a super healthy distribution.
yeah,
I moved off of my so over here at the buying climax, I thought that Caspa was going to do a normal cryptocurrency thing of like a new coin goes parabolic. It went all the way to the 4236. I thought it was just going to go into its bear market and that was
hmm
going to be it. I did not anticipate a proper distribution. And when I say UTAD, that's what so this would be your buying climax, your upthrust, and your UTAD right here. This is a proper distribution. And I had a target right here at 15 cents of 5.5 cents for Caspa back in 2023 because there was just no trading right in here. None. Zero trading between
yeah,
here and here. So I thought we would come over there. I moved off of that because it just kept going higher. I'm like, well, I guess I'm wrong because I just could not see the scenario where it got a healthy institutional distribution, but that's what happened. And this is the markdown. It hasn't quite broke out of this downtrend, but I think that this is the bottom. I think it has work to do, right? It's
yeah.
not going to just V bottom out of here. This is what I think is going to happen for Caspa.
Yeah, I'll be more interested in buying Caspa after it does some accumulating like that. If this is the bottom, it should after all of that, take some time, just like it did with distribution. It should take some time with accumulation. So I'm not ready to get on this bandwagon that Caspa is now going to go up to 20 cents or something like that. Give it some time.
Yeah, but everything runs on ETH. I don't know about that. What is everything, bro?
Not everything.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that statement. Yeah, I want to see Bitcoin dominance holds the key. I have a stronger read on Bitcoin right now than Bitcoin dominance. I am pretty sure that this is the UTAD, but I would be willing to bet a good amount of money that this is the spring. UTAD, I'm less confident. There's a possibility that this just breaks out, but you know, I think we could go to 65.2 and it still be the UTAD because that would be the micro 3618 and that would be parabolic. But above that, or if we come down and then just make a new high, then I would be like, okay, well that's wrong. So we'll see. What I want to see is 61.4 get taken out. That would be a confirmation of this is a UTAD. It says, I mean, DeFi pretty much runs on ETH currently. It did in 2021. That was a true statement. But that
Yeah.
pie has been eating into for the last, 4 years.
Yeah, beginning of 2021, 95% of all money locked in on crypto was on ETH. Now it's more like 55%, maybe even lower than that now.
Ski, is Bitcoin going to reject again and retest 76 to 78K one final time? That is what I think. Yes, that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I have my limit orders at 79, 78, and 77. 79 obviously got hit yesterday. Yeah, that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I think that we're probably going to go to the full moons in the next couple of days too. So I think we're probably get a daily body at about 83. We've already gotten 83 a few wicks, but I do think that the body probably fills out 82, 83, and then we'll come back to 79 or 78 on a daily body. That I'm not. People are saying like, good call on 78 or 79. I don't think that this is the test right here. I think that this is because technically this is still a green candle. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to count this as the test right here. I mean, maybe if you want to go on like the 5 hour or something, you could say, but I don't think that this is the test. I do think that in the next probably week or so, we'll probably come back to 79, 78. I have my limit orders in.
Dude, on that subject, what's up with Fartcoin, man? That was a joke, but like,
You know,
I seriously, what is up with Fartcoin?
Fartcoin hilariously has a pretty good looking chart. I'm going to be honest with you. As funny as it might be,
Yeah,
that looks like accumulation. That looks like your sign of strength. That looks like your back
it still
test.
has gas left. That was a comment on my TikTok. Pretty great comment.
Yeah, I mean, so I think you could I think you go to 170. I would
Yeah,
definitely de-risk there,
yeah.
there's no guarantees it's going to go parabolic or anything like that, but that's about as good of a chart as I'm seeing in crypto right now.
I think Fartcoin is it's like it's taken it's carved out something, and what would that thing be? It's like, it's a measure of, all right, I want to be a degen. Where do I go? I'm gonna buy Fartcoin. And so I seriously, I think Fartcoin's here to stay forever.
Yeah.
So
Someone asked me about XEN. Um,
yeah,
Man, XEN has
that was
been
insane. What is that?
rocketing. So here's the full chart on XEN. I was saying like don't chase green candles, but it did this before too. But if it gets a pullback, I'll probably add a position to this because I think that this shows like real strength. And when everything
Yeah.
else is dead, it's up 33% today. Again, it was up 33% today, yesterday. Um, Realistically, though, if you're still holding on to it, I would probably de-risk around 3.3 cents, but the micro would be about 7 cents. Uh,
Can
so
you do you have any thoughts on like that descent from, because that's a really straight down descent.
I don't
For,
count that.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the pump earlier this year.
Well, my thoughts are is like, it's just balance, this was I don't remember what the exact move was, but it was a crazy, everyone wants a straight line up until you get a straight line up. That's my thoughts on that. So 2,600% in a matter of 11 days. That to me is just balance. That's
Yeah.
like, if you 11 days, that is
Yeah.
your life, my kid's life worth of stock market gains in 11 days. So it pulling back like that, I think is to be expected. Everyone wants a straight line up until you get a straight line up. And just like what we talked about earlier is like, what causes really violent bear markets is really violent bull markets. So it's harder to get a read on stuff like this, but
Yeah.
how much did it come down? Like what percentage from the
I don't know.
85%? So
Wow.
that's insane.
It went. I'm big on the 200-day moving average, simple moving average. It went right to the 200-day and then found support there. Is that
Yep.
the EMA on your chart?
Well, this is the death cross, so this would be the simple.
Okay.
So this is the 50 and the 200. This is the simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right to it. Yep. That's probably a good sign of support for sure. I mean, it might come back and test it again. If you could get lucky and test it again, I might add a position, but I'm not going to chase green candles. I do like XEN fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of my favorite charts. I had this on my radar for a breakout potential. And I was saying 4.5 to 6.5 cents was my targets. When we were at when we started getting at 2 cents, I was like, okay, this is too quick. Like, go ahead and
Yeah.
de-risk. When we got to 4.5 cents, I was like, for the love of God, de-risk. And I think we got to 5 cents. So yeah.
I got some hate for that. I was like, when it shot up to that first part where it kind of settled a little bit for just a couple days, I was like, I wouldn't buy this after that kind of a pump. And then people came in after that, were like, you were so wrong. And I'm like, I still wouldn't have bought it.
Someone said too late to get XEN for short-term gains.
Yeah.
Listen,
Just wait a little bit.
it's dangerous to short something that's on a tear like this.
No, he doesn't want to short it. He wants to buy it for short-term gains.
Oh, yeah. So on the 5-hour, like we're pretty damn hot here. We're at 93 and we're at the 382, which is a common place to get rejected. Maybe we go to the 0.5. I would wait till a back test because that's probably what you're going to get.
What, like 236 or what?
Depends where it goes. If you go to the 0.5, I would probably start to add it where we're at now. But man, it's too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 236 is where I would want to get this. 1.7 cents. But I would want to get it on the rebound, not, yesterday we were technically below there, but I don't want to buy something after it's up 35% in a day. It hurts my brain to do that. It's against my rules. I know I miss stuff, but for every one that I miss, I protect myself from 100 FOMOs.
Yep.
Maybe
Exactly.
1,000. My husband's so mad at me. I'm not gonna read that. What's the rejection point for what? Probably 83. Oh, you talking about for Bitcoin? Well, the rejection is probably the 200 EMA because we're below it right now, so we're probably going to get rejected off of it. Or even the 200, you could say. So 84, we'll probably get rejected off of that. Probably a high probability. Come back to our 78, 77.
I've been kind of targeting 84 for a short with Bitcoin. It's being stubborn.
That might be a good entry. I think that we're going to get that in the next couple of days, and I think that we're going to come back to 78. I have my limit orders at 78.
That's probably around the time a point where I would be. Well, I mean, I would take profits along the way. If it got rejected at 84 and then went to 78, I'd definitely be taking profits before 78. But like, I would close it 100% at 78.
Yeah, I've been killing it on the trading Bitcoin lately.
Nice.
That's been I've been trading VeChain, Bitcoin, and some others. But Bitcoin, I think I have a pretty good read on where we're at with Bitcoin. That's the one I feel the most confident about.
Mm-hmm.
I do have here's a shameless plug. I do have a book coming out. You can get on the wait list for that right now. So the book should be ready next week. If you want to get on the wait list, I will have the link in my description.
What's it about?
So it's just it's an ebook. Let me pull this up real quick. Oh, you can't even see my dang. Okay. I'll just explain it then. So it's just about my entire method. It's going to go over, like, there's going to be chapters about Wyckoff, there's going to be chapters about Fibonacci's, there's going to be chapters about there's gonna be chapters about de-risking, anti-trading sentiment, trading with the moon,
Nice.
real life trades that I've done, real life, situations like XRP is an example of, like, I had my targets when it was boring. I felt real social pressure, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I felt the pressure of moving the goalpost, but I didn't because I had my plan in place for that. So it's called Build in the Building in the Build in the Boring, by yours truly, your boy Ski. The Ski Book web says. So that's gonna be out pretty soon. You guys can get on the wait list for that if you want.
I want to answer a question. Good time to buy Solana and VeChain. I do not like Solana at these prices. Can you show my screen?
Yep.
So I'm curious about Solana. We lost a 1 year range with Solana, which has contributed to my outlook on not being as excited. The fact that we would lose a 1 year range on Solana, that it looks like we might be losing that range on XRP. Too early to call, but if it definitely felt that way this week. I just, short term at least, I see the red line there, the bottom of the range, that bottom of that 1 year range resistance. And so, I mean, I have a short ready to open at that level with a tight stop. VeChain, on the other hand, I think looks a lot better. So
I've been longing VeChain, and I've been doing very low
yeah,
leverage 3x, and I've been stacking consistent 30 to 50% gains on that.
yeah. So I mean, VeChain just it's I really like trading VeChain. It's one that there's just a lot of levels, a lot of historical confluence, not major swings, and we're just ranging between those levels right now. And I mean, I drew the levels that you can see on YouTube at least a long time ago. And so look at how we've interacted with those levels, and what a great place to have bought a little under 2 cents. So maybe maybe we'll at least get up to 2.6, maybe even higher than that short term. So
one thing I'm going to throw out for Solana, real quick. I think I agree with you, first of all, that VeChain is so much easier to trade than Solana. Some of my biggest losses ever have been on trading Solana. That's when I publicly blew up my account trading from $10 to 1,000, which I then moved the goalpost from 1,000 to 10,000, got it all the way up to $9,000 with no money added, and then blew the whole thing up on Solana. So I'm a little bit biased against trading on Solana, but one thing I will say about Solana is, for me, the true price is market cap, and the dollar price, it lost that critical level, but market cap, it has not. So for me, the line in the sand is, if we break all of this, that is the line in the sand for me. Whoops. What say you about that, Alex?
I got distracted, so I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
I said that price, Solana has taken out that key level, but market cap, it has not. So for me, the line in the
Okay.
sand is 52 point.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
or call it 50 billion. That's the line in the sand. It hasn't broken the downtrend though from it hasn't broken the downtrend from January. That is true, but it also hasn't technically broken support, and it looks like it's even finding a little bit of footing here. So I don't think
That's a good point.
I don't think it's a safe trade, but
Yeah.
until it breaks this, I'm not going to say that it's dead either.
Yeah. That's a very good point about. I mean, I'm looking at the market cap chart, and you made that point a couple weeks ago, and so I drew those lines, and I can see, we had 2 daily closes below, but bounced right back up. So
I don't think it's out of the woods for sure,
yeah.
but because it hasn't. I mean, this is a steep correction that it's been on. It is having a little bit of a divergence on RSI here, where the price is going lower, but the RSI is now kind of in an uptrend. We'll see. This is a critical level, though. If it gets below 50 billion, I don't want to see that for sure for Solana.
Yeah.
How high can VeChain go? To me, my targets are, me and Alex have different targets, but 246, 20, 40, 60. Can you go over ETH Fibonacci's? I'm going to be I don't have Ethereum, but if you were my brother, I would say de-risk a decent bit at 3,300 and 7,200. But I'm not a financial advisor. Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, what, on ETH?
Well, I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, no.
Bro, simple question. When alt season? When moon, bro? You tell me. I did that to somebody on Twitter, and he, like, I don't know. I think he kind of as crazy as it might seem, but someone on Twitter X sympathized with me. But he said on one of my videos, he was like, "We're going lower," and then I was just acting like normal people. I was like, "When? What price?"
Oh man.
And I was just doing like that thing, and I just kept badgering him like the same way that we get badgered. And then I think by the end of it, he was like, "Oh, okay." Like, you know how like crazy that this is?
Yeah. That's always going to be with us. It's like, as soon as I post something on X, I come back 5 minutes later, and there's a question.
When?
When?
WEN.
I mean, yeah, I mean, but maybe not even WEN, just like they want to know the exact day. And all right,
Yeah. Man. When? How yeah, I already answered what time frame do y'all trade? I'm more of a macro trader. Neither one of us do high leverage.
Yeah.
To me, high leverage is 5x. I like 3x is kind of where I like to hang out at. 4x is okay for Bitcoin. But
Yeah, I like, the only thing that I do higher than 2 or 3x is Bitcoin. I have a lot more confidence in Bitcoin's chart that my analysis is more accurate, and then it just, the moves aren't as violent for Bitcoin. So
me personally, sometimes I'm in trades for like weeks, months.
yeah.
So I like the daily, and then I like to go down to like the 3 or 5 hour to look for a specific target, but generally I'm looking at a macro.
Yeah, I do daily and 4 hour for the most part. I mean, I'll zoom out a little bit, but I don't do 15-minute or.
Why did you rug us on ICP? That's a joke. He's an OG.
Okay.
So basically, I did a deep dive on ICP.
Uh-huh.
The multi-billion-dollar asset, and people in my comments were like, he's just trying to pump his bags.
Yeah, I love it when people say that.
I'm like, yes, you're right. My 53,000 followers on TikTok is pumping this multi-billion-dollar asset where I'm going to rug you guys all. So,
Yeah.
Ski, where do you trade leverage? I do BitUnix.
Yeah, I use BitUnix. I have 3. I don't know why, but BitUnix, Bitmart, and BingX.
Listen, I'm be honest. I like BitUnex the best.
I'm liking it. I'm liking the options better.
They don't have all of the coins, but they have enough.
Yeah.
They have a lot, and it's pretty simple. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your computer. I generally do stuff on the computer unless I'm closing something out. I might do it on my phone. I definitely don't look for setups on my phone or anything like that.
Yeah.
Some people do that, but that's not what I do. Yeah, I like BitUnex. I used them quietly for 6 months before I ever talked about them. I've withdrawn money from them multiple times. I haven't had any issues.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom is not in. Okay, what's the bottom then?
When?
Listen, I made my case. I made multiple videos stating why I think that Bitcoin has done the spring. I've been talking for weeks. I said the structural bottom. I didn't think that we were going to get a spring, but I said it's definitely on the table. 75K, definitely on the table. I said that many times. A spring would take us to 75K. I said that at 88K. A spring would take us to 75K. I said that multiple times. So here we are, what I believe to be the spring. I think that the bottom is in for Bitcoin. I think that people talk out of both sides of their mouth saying this is the worst bull market of all time. 4-year cycle is broken, but then see you in 4 years and this is going to be the worst bear market of all time. It's like,
Yeah.
which is it?
Yeah. That's you know, I mean, people, you can even look at like 2021 going into 2022. People were expecting Bitcoin to go much lower than where it went. And why? Well, because we've always had that 85% drop, but we didn't have a blow off top. We didn't have that we had two distribution tops. So why would we go down 85%? You know, if we had a blow off top and went to 100% or $100,000 and then dropped 85%, that would have put us at 15,000, which is where we went. So anyway, we're going to say.
What I said earlier, you know, the thing that causes violent bear markets is violent bull markets. You know, and if you're going to say, again, we must talk out of one side of our mouth. If you're going to say that there's going to be diminished returns in Bitcoin, I will buy that for $1. But then that means there's diminished returns to the downside. You don't get one and not the other. So that is that's my thoughts. Alex, I think disagrees. I would bet. I don't know. But I already have my 70K bet. If we go to 70K, I'm going to shave my beard like a man. But 28-day low is when I say a bottom, 28 days. 28 days, okay? Don't come. But I do think that it's going to be multiple 28 days, but when I say a bottom is in, it's 28 days. Can ICP reach $300? Not this. No.
You know, I mean, looking at their tokenomics, maybe they'll be deflationary towards the end of the decade and eventually they could get to 300. But yeah, not in 2025.
No. My best case is like 100.
Yeah.
Which, you know, even just a retracement to 30, 35, that's plenty of money to be had. Everyone wants a 5X until you get a 5X. Alex, are you out on Pendle or are you still trading?
I have not touched my Pendle this entire time. Pendle looks awesome right now. It's one of I mean, on the daily, it looks awesome. I mean, you know, most of the time I've been zooming into the 4-hour chart and finding some setups that look pretty bullish, but Pendle looks bullish on the daily, on the 4-hour. Now it is up against resistance. I've labeled $3.38 as resistance. So we'll see how, you know, if it's able to break through there. So
I think we actually have a similar target, if I remember correctly. This is not a good chart. Yeah, I think this is the bottom. Like a lot of the coins too. I've said this too. Like I've been bearish on Sui, Arrow, all those since November. I think that they've bottomed. Like I think that they're finding their footing, and I think that this is a macro level right here that it found 180 it found good footing off of. Yeah, a little bit short term hot, but I think that relatively, macro, this is the bottom. Structure, hear me. Someone said, how many coins do you track day trading? Is it good to only have a few that you trade consistently? I'm going to give you the old Chinese parable, like you fear the man who doesn't know 10,000 kicks but practices one kick 10,000 times. Definitely, I think you're going to have better success honing in on a few different coins and figuring
Yeah.
out how they move. You're going to have way better success with that. I do trade more coins, but I always come back to VeChain. I always come back to Bitcoin. Those are the ones I like to trade the most. I like trading ADA. I have like 5 or 10 that I like to trade. Bitcoin being the one that's I like to trade the most.
Yeah. I have a similar mindset. I like to long only a handful of cryptos, but then there's a pretty big, a large list of cryptos that I like to short. And it's mostly the kind of cryptos that we both Devin and I would say to stay away from, which is the newer utility, high inflation. Um, Anytime I see those pump, I look for opportunities to short those. And until we see a broader reversal in the market, that's going to be my game plan.
I would second that. Or I'll even look for meme coins that have went crazy. I'll look for opportunities.
Yeah, I've lost money trying to short meme coins. I'm done with. I mean, like yeah, I'm done with shorting meme coins. Like the OGs, if there's opportunities to short Dogecoin or Shiba Inu, fine. But like some of the newer ones, I really think they're on those exchanges like BitUnix, so that BitUnix can make money off of people trading those meme coins using leverage.
Yeah. Does Ondo count as RWA? You stay away from.
I mean, it fits the bill of new utility and highly inflationary. It's just Ondo. I really like Ondo fundamentally. So I don't know if I've ever done a leverage trade on Ondo in my life. I've bought spot. So
Um, yeah, I'm not as big of a fan of Ondo. To me, it's a better version of Sui. It's it has less inflation than Sui, and
mhm.
it's a good like I think Sui's a good project,
Yeah.
but I just don't a good project and what you're doing fundamentally doesn't equate to it a good investment. But I think it's a much better investment than Sui, and I think that it's bottomed just the same as all those coins back in November. I've pretty much been bearish on all of those coins the same since November, and I think that they've all relatively bottomed. I don't think that they're going to have like these crazy, you'll have car changing money, but not not life changing money. Carlos asked me about. It looks like XYO is coming back from the bottom. Yes, not quite a higher high yet, but very, very close. And I love this chart on the macro. This is one XYO is one of my favorite charts, and it went back below the 236. Um, it's had the death cross, which is again that signals a bottom more than it doesn't. If we can get above a 1.3 cents, that would signal a higher high. And you could classify this as the spring. It might be the secondary test, but I think it's one of those. This might be your selling climax and secondary test. This might be your selling climax, but I think it's in the bottoming structure. Um, and same thing with Ondo with XEN. Like when you have these crazy moves upside, you're going to have a deathly downtrend, and it's been at a tight downtrend for a while. Hasn't quite broken it yet. So we'll see, but pretty close. I mean, the wick is higher than the body, but that's what I would like to see. I would also like to see it get above the 200. I think would be a good spot, but I really like XYO a lot. And I want to see the 5 hour. Yeah, the 5 hour, we're already above the 200. So let's see if we can hold this. Yeah. We could get a lower low. It wouldn't be weird to get a spring, but I think it's closer to the end than it's not. Okay. What up, Ski and everyone? What's up, guys? All right. Any announcements, Alex?
Announcements. I won't message you. So I mean, I'm still really excited about on chain. I know you are too. So coming up soon. What were we gonna say?
Yeah, the both of those should be I'm tracking the end of April, maybe
Yeah.
maybe the beginning of May. Development is like contractors, guys. Like
Yeah.
whatever they tell you, add 20% to the time and to the costs. That's just the reality. I call it testosterone time. Men have these it'll happen in this time, and it's like if the stars align, and that's just the reality. Development is like contractors, if you've ever dealt with contractors. But either way, it's on the horizon. Very excited for that. For me, I have that's as well. The on chain is coming. That's going to be a massive, massive deal. Super bullish about that. Um, Also, the ebook, I'll leave the link in the description. I didn't put it in there in the beginning of this live stream, but I'll put it in there right after the end. You can get on the wait list for that. That is going to be available next week. So we're going to drop that next week. And then also, Solnix pre-staking is going to be available very, very soon. So you're going to be able to lock up your Solnic and you're going to be able to earn APY on that. So that's coming out as well. And then next Friday evening, I have I already let the cat out of the bag on accident because I did the Ron Burgundy thing where I read a comment and I didn't proofread it.
Yeah.
So the cat's out of the bag. We've partnered with Mario in the fall. So he's going to be doing 3 podcasts or spaces, and he's going to be tweeting stuff. But so that's next Friday. The first one, it should be next Friday. So that's going to be over multiple months. And people are like, I don't like Mario, blah, blah, blah. It's like, maybe you like him, maybe you don't. I don't know. But what I do know is he gets billions of impressions per month. And if I can get my name in front of those people,
Yeah.
I don't see how that could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Win alt season. All right, guys, I will never message you. That's all my announcements. I took 37 minutes giving announcements. Sorry, but I will never message you. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, YouTube at World War Bitcoin, on X at World War Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. WW Bitcoin.
At WW Bitcoin on X. I am at your boy Ski everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. Neither one of us will ever message you first. Those are scammers from Pakistan, Kakistan, Turkestan. Yeah, Lakers in 5. All right, guys. Peace, love, prosperity. God first.